Hi, it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new teen book spotlight. So for this week, we are taking a look at what are called duologies. So basically, we all know a standalone book, which is like a book that has a beginning, middle, end. There's nothing that comes after it. And then there's the trilogies, which are 3 books, and we even have series that go longer than that. Like, we have some series that are like 8, 10, 12 books long. These are just 2. So these are perfect if you want a little bit more than, just your typical, 1 book, but you don't want a commitment the length of like a 3-book thing, and I totally can understand that. So what we're going to be looking at are the first in a duo, okay? And most of these, I'm pretty sure, the second one is already out. So you can pick up both at the same time because they're cliffhanger endings, and who wants to wait to find out what's going to happen next when it's literally right there and you can just grab it. So we're going to take a look at 6 that are first in duos, and then you can kind of decide if you want to get the second one as well. So let's get started. Our first one is We Hunt the Flame. So where Zafira lives, there is this cursed forest known as Ars. And what's crazy about this forest is it has the ability to change and move with the help of dark magic. So every single time you go into it, it could be completely different. So there is this person known as the Hunter who is able to traverse and survive in this forest. No one knows who this person is, but Zafira, though, knows who it is because it's her. And she can't let herself be caught, because if her identity becomes known, she's going to be killed, especially because she's a female. When the Silver Witch comes to her, though, and lets her know about this quest, that there's a relic in the forest that if Zafira can get her hands on it, it's going to save her people, her town, she decides she has to do this, and she jumps on the chance. Little does she know, though, that there's this guy named Nazir. He's known as the Prince of Death because he's the son of their evil and horrendous Sultan who rules over this land. He has been tasked with finding the Hunter, killing the Hunter, and then taking the relic for himself. When they are thrown together by their circumstances, though, they are going to end up needing each other in order to survive. There are twists, there are turns, it's filled with fantasy and adventure, and it's one that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't usually read fantasy. I loved this book. This is We Hunt the Flame. Just one day. So Alice's life has always been planned out, especially by her parents who have made every single choice for her, such as, even down to what she's going to be going to college for. So as a high school graduate, she has, been able to go on vacation, of course chosen by her parents, and she ends up on this trip that they have micromanaged for her, that's supposed to take her across Europe. So when she randomly meets this guy named Wilhelm, who happens to be a Dutch actor, in London, she decides to just randomly ditch the orchestrated plan, and for the day, and ends up following him to Paris, where she and he spend the next 24 hours, and it is there that she surprises herself, and she does things and try things she never could have imagined doing before. When she wakes up the next morning, though, and finds that Wilhelm is gone and she has been left stranded in Paris, Allison has to face everything that her life has become and what she wants to do about it. This fun, realistic romance is definitely more mature, but have you thinking about your future and your choices and what you want to do. This is just one day. The Scorpion Rule. So in this dystopian setting, the only way the rulers of the major countries are able to make peace and hold peace around the world is they decided that they were going to hold their children hostage. Their children are sent to this school in the middle of nowhere, and they are sent to live there until they are 18 years old. And if their parent declares war on another country, then they end up dying because of it. So for 17-year-old Greta, she only has 1 year left. She doesn't feel the need to upset the system that she's growing up in. And that is until there's this new hostage named Ilian. And he shows up and he decides to question everything that he sees and everything he's told and everything he's forced to do when he arrives. And as he starts to make waves, Greta starts to see things differently for herself for the first time. And This all kind of comes to a head though when Ilian's country declares war and they invade the school. And not only do they declare war, but they declare war on Greta's home country. So Greta's going to end up making some choices that will not only impact her, but will change the system that has been in place for generations. If you love a dystopian look at society along with action, adventure, government intrigue, and some romance, then this is a must-read. This is The Scorpion Rules. Strange the Dreamer, and this one's a hefty one, I will tell you that right now. Laszlo Strange grew up an orphan, but now as an adult, he has this job as a librarian, but he is also obsessed with the city known as Weep. It's this distant and mythical city that has its own story that no one can really agree on, but they just know something happened there. So when Laszlo gets an opportunity to go to Weep with a group of warriors who need help, he jumps at the chance, and then he finds himself caught up in this long-standing conflict between the citizens of Weep and the blue godlike creatures who are terrorizing them. And Laszlo is going to play a role that no one, including himself, saw coming. So if you love a fantasy that's filled with adventure, action, drama, mystery, good versus evil, and so much more, including this one does have a cliffhanger ending, then this one's a must-read. But the second one's already out, so you don't have to wait long to find out what happens when you reach that cliffhanger ending. This is Strange the Dreamer. The Never Tilting World. So if you love some mythology-based stuff, you'll love this one. So in the ancient world of Aeon, there have always been two sister goddesses who have ruled. Generations before we start, though, there was this betrayal, though, and what was known as the breaking happened. And that's when this world becomes two realms. So when our story takes place, the world is in two separate things, and one stays in perpetual cold and darkness, and the other one is in the light and heat constantly. Now, each of the current goddesses, they have a daughter, and they're helping them and teaching them and basically apprentice them to take over when their time comes. And their names are Haley and Odessa. So when word gets out, though, that there might be magic available where this rift happened, where the betrayal happened, and if this magic is found and harnessed, it could put the realms back together and could save their people, and they wouldn't have to be living in perpetual cold and heat and so on. Haley and Odessa decide they need to join forces, and they are going to go find this magic, and they are going to rescue their people. But naturally, that's going to be easier said than done. So if you love your fantasy with some political intrigue, some mythology, magic, twists, this has what you're looking for, The Never Tilting World. And our last one is called Reboot. So this is set in the future. There's this virus that's killing especially kids and teens. But here's the weird part. Well, some people just die. There are others that come back from the dead, and then they are kind of sucked into serving the government. So that's what happened to our main character, Ren 178. Some people consider that when this happens to be a gift, that you're lucky. Other people are like, you're not. So the biggest thing that they have figured out is the longer you stay dead till you come back to life, the stronger and less human you are. And that is exactly what happened to Ren 178. And in fact, she was dead longer than anyone else had ever been, making her the strongest creature that has ever come back. She was dead for 178 minutes, hence her name. So when Ren then starts to train a new recruit known as Callum 22, now he was only dead for 22 minutes, keep this in mind. It's still, because he wasn't dead for that long, it makes him able to challenge authority and question what he's doing and how this is impacting humanity. And Ren doesn't know how to deal with that, you know? She's not as human as he is. But when Ren discovers that something horrible is taking place and Callum is actually being tested on by the government, she's going to need to start questioning herself and what she's believing in. This science fiction look at society could, will have you thinking about what could happen to society and, where could technology end up. This is Reboot. So these are just the first in duos or duologies that we have here at the library. There are others, but if you're looking for something that's more than a standalone, but maybe not quite as long as a trilogy or more, these are perfect. So I encourage you to come on down. You can either check out one of these, or we have others you can choose from that we will certainly help you find so you can read that perfect mini series. I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new teen book spotlight, and have a great week.